So what are the real big motivators that would be at the disposal of somebody that wants to control you? Well, of course, there's hunger, we need to eat; thirst, we need to drink; we need to be warm; we don't like threats, and we don't like rewards. Of course, there's sex, which is a reward. That's also in the list. Well, the first three are not really good motivators. You could use them, but they're very cruel and they're very strong. So basically, if you try to threaten people by starving them, or by removing their drinks, or by putting them out in the street, what's happening right now with the people that are being foreclosed, but anyway, that's a very harsh way of motivating. It doesn't really work, and also you have to do it physically and directly. It's very direct, very close. I should have put sex in that list, but I forgot. Anyway, the last two are much more interesting, and the reason for that, threat and reward. Well, let's say sex is a reward, but it can be anything. It can be money, because that kind of is a placeholder for any reward that you would like, because you can probably afford it with money. Is that they are nice thing about these things is that they are deferred. They are not in your locality where you are right now usually. So a threat can be a wolf running around, or a terrorist, or a criminal, or some predator somewhere. You don't know where it is. That's why it's a threat. And that's great, because then it can be anything. It can be huge. And of course, people that make thriller movies know that the undescribed threat is actually the biggest one, the one that we find most scary. You know, that movie about aliens and stuff like that, and you never really see them, and that makes it a very scary movie, because you fill in anything that you're afraid of. Threat. Reward can be hard, because sometimes you cannot reward people. So usually conditioning is based on threats, and of course if it's a reward, well, it's a little bit harder. Okay, this is a repeat of what I just said. The nice thing about deferred motivators is that you can be conditioned offline. You know, if you want to condition somebody to food, then you have to give it to them, to Tuscany food, or to some other type of kitchen. You want to make it popular, you have to give it to them physically. And if you want to, you know, there's lots of things that you really have to directly give to somebody. But if you want to condition a word for being a threat, or a reward in general, then you can go offline. You can do it in another context, and that's a very, I think, tricky part of it. So, for instance, take the word terrorism. You want to link that with the emotion of a threat, and you want to link that with the emotion of a threat basically because you want to push people into a certain direction. And you can do that online. You can do that in different ways. You can mine popular culture, and you can dig up examples of terrorism, you know, where it was scary. You can remind people of that, and basically what you're doing is making an example of a context, action, and a goal situation, and then make it, and of course with the added motivation of the threat. So we don't want to have a situation like the assassination of the sporters in the Olympic Games by, you know, I guess Israeli. We don't want to have a terrorist attack. We don't want to have bombs from Gaza, that kind of stuff. Another one is you can simply create an event and then condition the word. You know, this is. I'm not saying that 9/11 was an inside job, but it is sure very convenient for the conditioning of the word terrorism. And the strange thing about it is because of the conditioning of the word terrorism, people have gone along with all kinds of stuff that they don't really know about. It was very unspecific, but that's a nice thing about it. So, with those offline conditioning of words, you can create stop and go mechanisms that you can insert in your language, and then you can control people.